and is now 99.9% certain that they're going to go along with it. Because their talks over censorship with the Chinese authorities have reached an apparent impasse, and they basically aren't going any farther. Even Google is now having to take a stand against the censorship in China, and are going to be removing their search engine soon from there.
Yeah, another story from the BBC that coincides with that. China denounces Google-U.S. ties. It says that Chinese state media attacked Google for having what it said were intricate ties with the U.S. government, and accused Google of trying to change their society by imposing American values on it. Now, I wouldn't necessarily agree. I think there's both sides, American government, Chinese government, have some pretty screwed up things that they're doing and stuff. So I mean that's a whole other can of worms in itself. But anyways, some security experts in the Pentagon are actually from Google. Reporters from one of the Chinese papers wrote in a commentary. And pretty much relations with China and Google have cooled following in January what described as sophisticated accounts by an unknown source on Chinese human rights activist accounts were targeted. And so, I mean, who knows what's really going on? This could be like a manufactured drama just to save face on both sides for them to just separate and then not have this kind of a fray going. Because Google has pretty much, been down for a lot of things that China's kind of been trying to do here in our country, but it's maybe this international drama of the communism.
It's backfiring on them.
Yeah, versus capitalism and that kind of thing.
Also from the BBC concerning the internet, conservation groups have now come out, and this was put out at the Convention on International Trade and Endangered Species, saying that the internet essentially is the main culprit now behind the trade of rare and almost extinct species. They say that essentially it's become easier and easier to buy and sell things over the internet through chat rooms and different search clients in order to sell these things. And they, of course, are coming out against the internet as the enemy, not the criminal people that go and murder these animals for their pelts or whatever. Mm-hmm. What needs to be focused on, as always, we will continually bring up the criminal activity, not the items or impersonal. I mean, the internet is an item. It's an object. It's not even anything real. No one controls it. It's not run by any one individual. Yeah. And you can't say that the internet is threatening rare species when that's the headline of their article.
Yeah, it's not the saying internet. A gun threatens people.
It's not the gun. It's not the internet. It's the criminals that are involved.
Or a knife or anything. And I mean, basically, we're not living in harmony with our environment and all that kind of a thing. And then there are people that have really bizarre tastes, and there's also super rich elites that will pay all sorts of ridiculous prices
for their ivory tusks or whatever.
Yeah, or just rare animal species they want to throw into a cage. Stuff. They're going to die of depression one day and that kind of a thing. And so I mean that kind of behavior and desires are really what the problem is. It's not the internet. I mean anything will be featured on the internet to say the internet is evil or whatever is really ridiculous. It's who's using that tool. And so that leads us into this next Reuters story, and that's Venezuela Chavez calls for internet controls. This is actually pretty disappointing. I think we both can agree on that. That he says the internet cannot be something open where anything is said and done. Every country has to apply its own rules and norms. This is all following after a false report that one of his ministers was murdered, which stood for 2 days. Chavez complained that people use such sites to spread unfounded rumors. And I mean, I think he took the right action when he did in 2007 when he refused to renew the license for the television station RCTV. He didn't shut it down immediately. He just waited till their license expired and had no reason to want to renew it because they were involved in basically posting supporting a coup against him, which was our featured documentary. And so I mean basically, I don't know really what to think about this. It's kind of crazy because, I mean, I've heard a lot of theories about there's a manufactured drama between, communism and capitalism and democracy. And so, I mean, ultimately the objective is to fuse socialist and democratic societies in this big soap opera. So, I mean, we'll see where this leads, but, I mean, that's just pretty sad news to hear him call for that kind of thing.
Yeah, he's coming out against freedom of speech when in all times before, up to now, he's basically supported it, even when it's been, news organizations and cable companies that have been going against him, even supporting outside coups attempted by foreigners against him. So it's definitely pretty disappointing to see. And Chavez really need to understand that it's not the internet that's the problem; it's the people there. Some good news coming out about the internet. Scientists have found a way to turn LED lights into a wireless internet source. These group of scientists in Germany's Fraunhofer Institute have devised a way to encode a visible frequency wireless signal in light from our plain old desk lamps and other light fixtures. Essentially, the incandescents in normal bulbs don't flicker fast enough, and so wouldn't provide a good enough download rate. And so LEDs, of course, have jumped right in to fill the place. And it's said that regular commercial LEDs will do the trick. The Fraunhofer team was able to achieve downloaded data at a rate of 230 megabytes per second, which, again, we're getting about tops a megabyte per second over our normal cable internet. And so we'd be talking 230 times that speed. And it'd be wireless. We wouldn't have a fiber optic cable going all the way down from here to San Jose that gets cut off at random points and the whole county's out of internet. It'd be a whole different scenario. So good job for these guys. Hopefully they continue the work, and we need to have more technology like this coming out.
Well, what I really think is cool about it is the wireless frequencies have been shown to emit like harmful electromagnetic radiation, as well as like cell phones and a lot of other devices. And so you could eliminate this potentially hazardous radiation in favor for LEDs, which has been shown to have healing properties for like military applications and other things. So I think it's definitely a positive development when it comes to the internet. But back to some bad news. We've talked about this before on our program. This is from scoop.co.nz, New Zealand publication. Says that government internet filter going live is sad day for New Zealand. The Department of Internal Affairs has admitted that the internet filter they have is now operational, and multiple telecoms they have there have implemented it, but a few of them have gone against it, called Orcon, Slingshot, and Natcom, saying they won't. But who knows? I mean, this could be a potential way to collect dissenting people and collect them under some kind of database. Because I mean, basically, people I would cancel my account with a company that's going to do the filter in the interest of finding one that's not down with the filter. And I'm sure there's a way that those people are being chronicled and databased and whatnot.
Well, more onto the filter trial vendor, skeptical over the internet clean feed. This is from ournet.com. This is the company M86, which essentially has come out saying the internet filtering won't prevent people from deliberately looking up inappropriate material or from accessing blocked content. If somebody's trying to bypass the filter to share something they want, they're going to bypass it. And this is true of anything as far as, technologically speaking, trying to stop these people from, looking up certain things or going to websites. It's going to happen no matter what. You're either going to have other companies that come out against it and say that they're not going to go along with the filter, or you're going to have people who are going to hack around it somehow. Yeah. So either way, it's going to be put up. And of course, filtering and trying to censor and stop information is not the way to go, but rather to be putting out good information to try and enlighten society and bring society up so that there aren't those individuals getting involved in that type of inappropriate content.
Yeah. Well, our next story is from eweekeurope.co.uk, and this story is about Facebook's, what's his name, Mark Zuckerberg, basically saying that people no longer have an expectation of privacy thanks to the increasing uptake of social networking. Oh, thanks to you. The issue of privacy, it says in the article, is a vexed one, especially in the UK, where late last year the Home Office pledged to push ahead with controversial plans to monitor all internet use. The ministry is requiring communications firms to monitor all internet use and asking them to retain information on how people use social networks like Facebook. So I mean, he basically doesn't really think that you should believe in privacy thanks to something that he helped create. And also there's been studies such as one called The Digital Criminal, have found that 38% of users of these sites have posted status updates detailing plans about where they're going to be and when they're not going to be home. So, I mean, imagine the government, not just burglars, being able to victimize you based on your status and put bugs in your house and that kind of thing, and burglarizing your privacy. Yeah. You can actually go, the ACLU had a pretty cool quiz on social networking sites and the dangers of them, so please check that out. We'll have it posted on our site.
Yeah, another article about Facebook from the Telegraph. Man fined over Facebook insult to ex-girlfriend. A man has been ordered to pay £165 for calling his ex-girlfriend an offensive name on Facebook in one of the first cases of its kind. And, you know, this, of course, is an interesting story because it's showing how people are becoming criminals based on activity they do on the internet. And nonetheless, an activity like calling someone a name, it's like, yeah, it's probably not a good thing to do. You probably regret it later. But you don't need to be fined by the government for it. The government doesn't need to step in.
And if you say it in public, it's like, it's the same thing practically. I mean, oh no, it's totally absurd. But moving on to some more somewhat related tech news. This is also from the UK's increasing nanny state, the Daily Mail. It says that spy chips hidden in 2.5 million dustbins, 60% rise in electronic bugs as the council's snoopers plan a pay-as-you-throw tax. Now they have local councils in each area of the UK, and it says in the article there's a growing threat of a stealth tax on their rubbish. More than 2.5 million homes have their wheelie bins fitted with microchips to weigh their contents. And so there's some schemes where families who put out more waste will pay higher taxes to their local council, which is really crazy. Because I mean, you got people could go dump in public dumps and that kind of thing. You have public trash cans. So I mean, there's all sorts of ways to offset it. And then Alex Dean from Big Brother Watch said the number of local councils placing microchips in bins is increasing, despite the fact that only one of them has volunteered to trial the government's pay-as-you-throw scheme. So one council has volunteered, but everybody's doing it. Also, it's been warned that the collection of data from the bins could be used to show people on holiday similar to their Facebook statuses and be abused by criminals. And also, they say, as usual, that this is supposed to provide a better service. It's going to be good for you to be able to monitor your trash like this and charge you more. But that's generally the same tale, convenience and safety arguing the stripping of our rights and privacy. So that's pretty outrageous. And also a spokesperson for the Department of the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs in the UK government said there are no government plans to introduce these chips in bins, but there's 2.5 million of them, so something's going on. And he also says that this is not about spying on people or finding them. But however, it says in the end of the article, in 2008, nearly 100 councils ran investigations on the contents of the residents' bins, and in some cases to check on what rubbish they dump, and in others to try to obtain information on their incomes and lifestyles. So definitely a whole bunch of red flags coming up in that story. So.
From WorldNet Daily, hate laws could label 5-year-olds as offenders. According to the Christian Institute, which is a UK organization, children as young as 5 years old soon could have their names added to hate registers of people accused of showing disrespect to homosexuality in violation of hate crimes laws. The report said an assessment from a civil liberties think tank estimated that 40,000 children have such accusations, mostly involving alleged racism, added to their school records annually. And, you know, this is a kind of disturbing factor because not only are these kids who are very young having things put on their record that's going to follow them throughout their school career and into jobs or a military career.
Single-digit
But, you know, when people are kids, they don't know what they're doing. Kids call each other names and do all kinds of stuff. They don't know what stuff means. And, you know, they shouldn't be getting registered with the government because of it. They should probably be reprimanded and spoken to by a teacher or other adult, a parent or someone, but they shouldn't be getting, you know, registered with the government.
Well, these kind of things might create more disdain for the powers that be.
And even one of the mothers of one of the child who actually got in trouble for calling another kid a gay boy She says, you know, he doesn't even understand about the birds and the bees. How can he be homophobic?
Yeah.
And, you know, they even admitted that, you know, yeah, kids use the word gay to mean stupid or inferior. They don't actually know what it means. And they're just using the word because that's what's said in the local vernacular. And to be registered by the government, again, is totally outrageous.